All right. All right, so let's get it going. Can you guys hear me? Make sure to let me know if you can't, because I changed some of my settings around and I've relocated them in the basement now. So let me know if there's anything wrong with my volume or anything like that. Okay, good. All right. Well, then let's get started then. I was actually trying to do a video overlay where I could show you my screen so that I could actually like do stuff on the computer and maybe even show like the actual review that we did, but ended up not working out. So I got some things to work out over winter break, so I'm going to work on that. So a few things we're going to go over. I'm going to go over that paper review that we did starting on Monday. And if you guys have any questions about anything you want to go over in particular, we can do that, but I'm just going to go right in order, and you can always stop me if you have any questions. Again, I need to remind you that this is all recorded, and that you're logged in as you, and I can see a lot of your actual names. I know that you've got like some names that are your display names, but I just want to make sure you're aware of that, so you make sure you're behaving yourself, and keep your siblings off of here as well. I know we had some invaders last time, so all right. Is it going to be in the post-test packet? Yes, it is, and I'm going to go right down the line there, so that way if you guys tuned in and you paid attention to it, then you can turn that in tomorrow and get the maximum amount of points on it. So the first question that it says is it asks what is the sign of the product of two numbers with opposite signs? Okay, so a product obviously is going to be a multiplication problem, and thank you Kylie and Mason for letting me borrow your easel. So it says that you have two numbers with opposite signs. So that means one would be positive and one would be negative. Okay, and we're talking about a product, so that's why we're multiplying. And we know that a positive times a negative is going to give you a negative answer. So there will be questions like this on the test that ask you to sorry for some of these comments. But anyway, yeah, so we know that a positive times a negative is always going to be a negative. And again, there's going to be questions like this on the test that give you a sentence to try to decipher, and it asks, you have to figure out what it's asking you to do. So the next one says the quotient. Okay, so quotient means I'm dividing of two negative numbers. Okay, so it doesn't matter what order. Okay, two negative numbers. And we know that a negative divided by a negative is always going to give us a positive answer. Okay, so that one is going to be positive. So if you put positive down, you were correct. Okay. So then we got a couple more problems on that first page. It says to determine each product or quotient. Okay. And at the start of the test, there's going to be about 5-10 problems that are just basic multiplication and division. And remember to practice your multiplication facts. I said that as a 4th grade teacher every day, and I was shocked by all the small mistakes that I saw with multiplication and division. So just don't get a problem wrong because you didn't multiply correctly, I guess is my point. Okay. So let me see. So this first problem is a -6 times a -3, and then it's got a 5 tacked on the end. Now, anytime you have a number attached to parentheses, multiplication is what's implied. So we always want to assume we're multiplying when we don't see a symbol between a parentheses and two numbers. Okay, so when I see parentheses too, I always think parentheses are first. Do you guys remember this one, PEMDAS, right? Okay, so this is order of operations. So we have to know in what order we're supposed to evaluate an expression. Okay, and this is an expression because right now I put an equal sign there, but since it doesn't have an equal sign, we call this an expression, and we're going to learn that more in the next module. So. Oh man, I would totally make a note card right now. Anything I'm going over right now is fair game for the test. So, and that's fair game to put on a note card. So I would definitely do that. But anyway, so we always do parentheses first. Oh my God. Parenthesis. I always remember that. I didn't become a math teacher for my spelling. Parentheses. Okay, then we do exponents. Okay. This is multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. Okay, so this is the order of operations. Okay, so we do this one first, this second, and then we do these third and this fourth. Okay, so that being said, we have to make sure we're doing things in the correct order when we see problems that are that have multiple operations. Okay, so don't forget PEMDAS. All right, I think that's how I pronounce it. But we'll learn more about that in the next unit. But in this case, we're multiplying in all instances here. So in this case, all we have to do is multiply either the 6 times the negative 6 times the negative 3, or we could do the negative 3 times the 5. Since this looks kind of like a mess, I'm just going to do that right away. A 5 times a 3 is a 15. A negative times a positive is a negative. Okay, so now I'm multiplying times negative 6. Okay, so negative 6 times negative 15. The negative times the negative is going to cancel. It's going to be positive. And let's see, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. So our answer here is 90, and it's a positive 90 because the negatives cancel. Look at Dwight Anthony. You bet, man, 90. And I didn't know that answer because I looked at your answer. I knew that because I solved it. So dividing fractions. Mr. Patel, I'm so glad you asked because that's what's happening next, okay? How soon you guys forget drives me insane, okay? So we did this in the last unit. By the way, if you see me looking up, it's because my camera is right here, but my monitor, I have a TV mounted to the wall. So I think, wait, Anthony, this is Sanaa. Well, nice work, Sanaa. That's right. I saw that earlier. My bad. But your display name right now says Dwight Anthony. So, oh, hey, Meg. All right, moving on. Enough. You know, this isn't about you being famous right now, people. Okay. So anyway, we have 5/9. Okay, and we have times a 3/8. Okay. So I saw a lot of people kind of freaking out about this one. Okay, first of all, this is a negative 3/8. And I put the negative in front of the 3 because if I put it in front of the 3, if I put it in front of the 8, or if I put it in front of the whole fraction, they're all equivalent. They all equal the same thing. So I just put it right there because the problem, you know, says I have a negative there. So when we're multiplying fractions, guys, you know this. You just multiply straight across, okay? So there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to do this 2 different ways. And if whichever way makes sense to you, go for it, okay? So I have 5 times negative 3, which is a negative 15, okay? And I have 9 times 8, which is a 72, okay? And here's the thing, though. You have to reduce, okay? Don't be brain dead. You'll be fine. So in this case, I still need to reduce this. Now, luckily, because I know my multiplication facts, I know that, okay, 15 doesn't go into 72. 5 doesn't go into 72, but 3 does. So that's a factor they have in common. So I can divide the top and the bottom by 3, okay, and I get 5, and I think it's 5/24, okay, and it's a negative 5/24 because I carry that negative with. Now, there's an easier way to do this, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get to the dividing fractions. I'm going in order here. I'm gonna do all these problems, okay. So you could do it that way, but there's an easier way to do this, and one thing you have to realize is that you can cross cancel, okay? Because I'm dividing this 3 out. I can actually divide it right here. I can see that 3 and 9 have a common factor, and it's 3. So I can divide both of these by 3 right off the bat. So 3 becomes a 1, and I can divide 9 by 3, and I get 3. So now I'm doing 3 times 8, which is 24, and 5 times 1, which is 5. So I'm already reduced when I already do the multiplication. So that's another way to do it if you know how to do that. I know some of you don't. Some of you may not know how to cross cancel. So, but that's just an option for you if you learned that last year. Some of you did, some of you didn't. So I just throwing that out there. Let's talk about dividing fractions. That seems to be the big question that everyone's worried about. Okay. And in that case, by the way, remember my answer was negative because I divided, just because it was a fraction didn't matter. I divided a positive by a negative. So therefore my answer is negative. So let me see. Yep, that's correct. That's correct. That's correct. I think that's what I meant to say. Anyway, so the next problem on this review says you have a negative 6 and 1/3, and you're dividing by 2 5/6. Okay. Yeah, it's great grammar. It's amazing. Like I said, I became a math teacher for my grammar, obviously. Okay. So first things first, I can't really do anything with this until I create improper fractions. Oh, I'm sorry about that. That's your cousin screaming. I thought it was because of my mic, but I feel better now. So anyway, I have to create improper fractions first. Okay, so I can't do anything with this yet. All right, but I do know that this is negative. This is positive, and if a negative divided by a positive is going to equal a negative. So I know my answer is going to be negative. So I'm just going to put that negative sign there now. So that takes some of the thinking out of it. Okay, so to turn a mixed number into an improper fraction, okay, we're going to multiply. We take the denominator, multiply it by the whole number, and then add the top number, and we keep the fraction. We keep the denominator. Okay, can you guys see that? Okay, that's a 3. Let's make that a little bigger. Okay, so 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. So I have 19 thirds. Okay, and I'm dividing by This is 6 times 2 is 12 plus 5 is 17. Okay, what's that matter with me? 17 over 6. Okay, so I have 17 over 6. Now here's the deal. If I'm going to divide this, okay, remember, dividing fractions, the way you do that is you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so you flip, and you change. You know, that thing I taught you. KFC. It's finger licking good. Okay. So once again, I can cross cancel because I see that 3 and 6 have a common factor. It's 3. Okay, so I'm just going to do that while I can. All right. So now I have 1 times 17, which is 17. I have 19 times 2, which is 38. And a negative divided by a positive equals a negative. So I have a negative, move my equal sign here. I have a negative 38 over 17. And if I messed anything up, let me know because I'm looking at it in 2 different locations. So if there's any errors here, feel free to correct me. Can you write that in blue so it's easier to read? Yes, I can. I can do that. I switched to show. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. Let me see. All right. So I'll do that one more time because it was a little confusing. Okay. So you saw me convert these into improper fractions. Okay. So 3 times 6 plus 1 is 19. You keep the 3. Okay. And we're dividing by 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 5 is 17. And that stays over the 6. Okay. You keep it. You flip it. You change the sign. KFC. There it is. KFC. Okay. You got your bucket there. You know, you got your 10-piece. Okay. Get the kernel on there. I don't know how to draw the kernel that small. Whatever. You get the point. It's Kentucky Fried Chicken joke. Make it. It's funny. It's all the pieces are there. Just make sense of it. Anyway, so KFC. So then again, you can cross cancel because I have a 3 on the bottom here, and I can take a 3 out of here. Okay, these two they're prime numbers, so they don't have any common factors. Okay, so we can cross cancel there. Okay, so we divided that 3 out. We're just kind of doing some work ahead of time. You wanted that KRC? Those are my initials. My middle name starts with R. So anyway, so 19 times 2 equals 38. And 17. Okay, 1 times 17 is 17. And I have a negative sign because it's a negative number. And again, I need to start writing my negatives a little clearer. There they go. Okay. Let me see what else. I think that's it on that one. So you can use that. So let me get a, what's it called? Oh, okay. So we got to do another one here. Okay. So there's one, I'm going to write bigger. I can't, oh my God, I'm sorry. All right. I'll write a little bigger. My bad. Can you divide that by 4? I mean, in theory, I could have. Oh man, let me see. So number 6, I had you guys cross off because that one, you're not going to see something like that on your test. What are you talking about? What is? All right. Okay. Everybody let's just chill out here a little bit here. I don't want to add the moderator in here and start removing people here for getting on each other. Okay. All right. So anyway, number 6, I'm going to bail on. Is it negative 30 over 7? No, it was a 38 over 17. Okay. Hold on one second here. Which you could reduce that back to a mixed number, but I would let you leave it as an improper fraction. That'd be fine. Okay. So here's where this gets a little weird here. So okay. Yes, you can. You just gotta have a good attitude. Will these questions be the exact same on the test? Not the exact same, but I want you to understand some of these concepts we're going over so that you feel good about any problems that you see. Would you believe me if I told you that the problems on your test are going to be easier than this? Would that help? So if you're getting this, maybe that'll make you feel better. Anyway, so the next problem, number 7. So this is number 7 on the review. Okay, and these are all things you've learned, and that's the thing with a test is like it's a compilation of everything that you've learned to this point, not just with me, but beforehand. So you can't just forget the rules you learned in 6th grade. So what order do you write number 6 in? Don't worry about number 6. There won't be anything like it on your test. I crossed it off. So, but anyway, so number 7, okay, it says you have a negative 3/4, and this is just understanding how fractions work, guys. You got to understand how fractions work. Okay, you're timesing this by a negative 2/7. Okay, and then you're timesing that by a 4/3. Okay. Now immediately something should make sense here. Okay. Somebody got to fix your usernames. But anyway, so one thing you have to realize, you have a 3/4 here, but then you also have a 4/3. Now, again, in multiplication, we can rearrange these to be in any order we want. So I'm just going to put these next to each other. So hopefully you see what they're hoping you'll see. Okay. And maybe I haven't done this before in a live stream. I've mostly been talking to myself, but if I change the order, do you notice anything about these two numbers? Well, good. I'm happy to do it. I'll do number 4 next. But yeah, no, I like doing this. I think it's cool. Like, if I have the opportunity to do it, I'm happy to do it before a test. I couldn't do it yesterday, but because I got to be a dad too. But Mrs. Coffee is tagging in for me for bedtime tonight, so I can do this. So no, happy to do it. But anyway, I guess anyone going to notice anything about these two? Anything at all? You switched the numbers. Yes, I did, because you can. You're allowed to switch the numbers when you're doing multiplication. If I was doing division, I couldn't do that. What if you don't know it? Those numbers are easy to do. Yes, they're easy to do. Lodcast 075. They are, but why? What are they? We talked about these when we were dividing fractions. The numbers are the same. Yes, and that's because these are reciprocals. Okay, whenever you have reciprocals, they're going to cancel, right? That's the whole reason of dividing. When you're dividing a fraction, you're multiplying by a reciprocal, or when you're trying to divide a fraction out of a problem, then you multiply by the reciprocal on both sides so they cancel. The reason these cancel, okay, let's just look at, I'm not going to get rid of that for a second. But look what happens when you multiply across. Let's even get rid of the negative sign. The reason these cancel, the reason they don't matter, is because 3 times 4 is 12, 4 times 3 is 12, and we know that 12 divided by 12 equals 1. So these fractions multiply together end up equaling 1. You're close, Mr. Rush. They would equal 1. Okay, and this is the reason why. So now if we look back at the problem here up top, now that you know that and understand that, okay, these cancel. So these actually, boom, they go away. But the thing is, you still have a negative here. And this is what you have to realize. You have a negative here, and the 3/4 is the same. 3/4 is 3/4, right? But if I have a negative 3/4, I mean, really what I'm doing here is I'm taking 3/4 and I'm multiplying it by 1, right? Because negative 1 times 3/4 is a negative 3/4. So my point being, when you do this, when you take the 3/4 out of here, you still are left with this negative. So when you cross this out, you still have a negative 1 here. Okay, and the negative 1 times a negative 2/7 is just going to equal 2/7. Okay, so this problem, I'm going to tell you right now, but don't shut down when I say this. Okay, this problem will not be on your test, but it's a great problem to show you how negatives work and how fractions work. Okay, so it's good practice so that when you see fractions or negatives on your test, you know what to do with them. Okay, so in this case, we had to understand that we still had a negative number here times another negative number, which gave us a positive answer. Okay, why would you cancel out the negative 3/4? Is that what you're talking about? You would cancel this out. I'll show it again. Okay, you would cancel this out because you have 4/3. You have its reciprocal right here. Okay, if you have a number and its reciprocal, they both are going to multiply together to equal 1. So we can cancel them because multiplying by 1 isn't going to change the value of the rest of the problem, right? We still have a negative sign here, though, which, again, this is why you have a negative 1. Okay, so we're still doing negative 1 times 2/7. And that's because negative 1 times 3/4 equals negative 3/4. Did you do negative 1? Yes, I did. Exactly. So now we watch this. So here's negative 1. Let's just bring it all down. So now I'm left with a negative 1 times a negative 2/7. Okay, a negative times a negative is a positive, and 1 times any number is going to be that number, which is how we wind up with 2/7. Okay. What does rational and irrational mean? We're going to go over that. Okay, so actually that's where we're going next. All right. I think don't sweat too much on this problem because, like I said, this one is going to be more. This one just helps you understand the properties of negatives and also helps remind you how fractions work because I know it's been a while. So there will be some fractions and some negatives on your test, but you won't see something like this. But just understanding how fractions work is a big help in feeling more confident for your test because these are things you know. These are things you've done before. Okay, that seems to be the big question that we're getting, and I'm going to focus on that. I know, Matthew, you asked about number 4. So number four works like, I'm going to do number 4 really quick because then I can be off this page, and then I'm going to go to rational and irrationals. Okay, so you have 7, 14. I mean, let's just look at this. Let's just look at the digits. No decimals, no negatives. Okay. So I don't write down the answers. I just have been doing. That's fine. Hey, whatever you need to do. And again, I'm cool with you guys writing the answers down. That's why I'm going over this, because if you're taking the time to watch it, you get free answers. That's a good thing. So, are there going to be any reciprocal problems? Maybe one or two. I don't know. I've got to look again. But again, we need to know how reciprocals work. Anyway, so number 4, I just took the digits that we're multiplying. Okay, let's not overcomplicate it. Okay, so I have 4 times. Let's just do basic double-digit multiplication. I'm not sure how many questions. I got to look, but you'll be able to finish within a class period. So I'm just going to multiply like I would normally with a 2-digit number. So 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And 7 times 6 is 42. Make sure I did that right. Something. Oh, yeah, 42. Okay, so I got my 40 and my 2. Okay, I put my 0 here because now I'm multiplying by the tens place, so I have to bump everything over into the tens place. That's what the 0 is for. Hopefully someone's taught you that. Okay, 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, and now we add straight down. Now, I know you've done this before, okay, because it's in the 4th and 5th grade curriculum. Okay, so I know you've done it. You might have forgotten it, but that's how it works. Okay, so we just messed with the digits. Okay, hey, that's because it was the thumbnail for the stream was I was looking for a Mr. Coffee picture, and then I saw this one that said delayed brew, and I thought it was kind of funny that I was like delaying my stream. So it's like you're brewing, whatever. I thought it was funny, so no judgments. Anyway, so now let's put all the things that made this look more complicated than it needed to be. Let's add those things in now. So I had a negative 7.14, and I had a negative 2. There you go, 2.6. Okay, so let's talk about how this changes the problem. What's nice is it doesn't. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't really. It doesn't change what we do. That's why I left it out. So a negative times a negative is still a positive. So this is still a positive answer. Okay. Now, I know that 7 times 2, like let's ignore the decimals. I know 7 times 2 is 14. So I know that wherever I put my decimal had better be around 14. Okay. So, what, I forget to carry the 1? You forgot to carry the 1, did I? Where at? So, oh, how embarrassing. You're right. My bad. Carry the 1. See, that's why I got you guys double checking me. See, I would have lost a point on my test. So thank you for that. But anyway, is that the only thing I forgot? You don't carry the 1 point. Yeah, you do. Okay, when I was adding straight down, I forgot. Okay, but anyway, so now let's make it easy. Okay, you have negative times a negative, which is a positive. I know my answer should be somewhere around 14. So where I place the decimal, I need to think about that, which tells me I'm probably going to place it around 18. Okay, but let's just double check. However many digits are behind the decimal when we multiply, or how many spaces are behind the decimal in our answer. So 1, 2, 3 right here. So 1, 2, 3, I put my decimal right here. So I have 1, 2, 3 digits behind the decimal place there. So I have 1, 2, 3 behind the decimal place here. Okay, so I got 14.6. I might want to double check. Okay, so that's how you do these kind of problems. And just for that, oh, okay, fine. It's not part 3, it's book 3, but I won't correct you. All right, anyway, so that's how you, so again, when you multiply with decimals, it's no different than what you've been doing. What is this? Is there a problem that I missed? Hopefully people are behaving themselves in the stream. I don't think that was directed towards anybody, but not sure. But anyway, if there's any issues, I can always look back at the chat. Like I said, you got to behave yourself online, so hopefully everyone's doing that right now. But anyway, all right, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to scroll down into the next part. Let me see. Oh, okay. So number 8 is another one I want to go over. Or did I skip number 7? I think number 7 was the one I was supposed to do. Or what did I say I was going to do again? I forget. rational and irrational numbers. That's what it was. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down and pull those up here. Okay. So what you really need to know is that you have, on this test, what you really need to know is what a rational number is, okay? A rational number is going to be, let me see, rational. Okay, so rational numbers are numbers that are terminal for starters. Well, they can be either or. Okay, I'm going to back up because I'm going to use those terms, and I want to make sure you guys know what those terms are. Okay, so you have terminal, okay, or terminating. Okay, that's another way to put it. Okay, you have terminating and you have non-terminating. And I ran out of room here. Terminating. Okay, so you have terminating, you have non-terminating. Okay. What is going on, guys? Chill. Just. Okay. Anyway, back to math, people. So terminating and non-terminating. Okay, you have, terminating, when something terminates, it ends. Okay, so use that to guide you when you're trying to figure out if something is terminating or non-terminating. Okay, so with the number, so for example, 3 is a terminating number because it ends. Okay, you could even tack on a 0.0. Okay, but there's nothing after the 3, so it has a definitive ending. Okay, therefore it's terminating. Okay, another example of that would be 14.63781. Okay, it's a longer decimal, but again, it ends, so therefore it's terminating. All right, so non-terminating numbers, there's 2 types. Okay, you have repeating. Okay, so let's say for example, if I take 1/3 and I actually divide it out, I end up getting 0.3 repeating. Okay, so that's non-terminating because it goes on forever. It stays, it's a 3 forever. Okay, and the reason it's a 3 forever is if I try to take 1 and divide it by 3, okay, and I put my decimal there, okay, well, 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. I subtract, I get 1. I can bring down another 0 because I'm behind the decimal place. Okay, so don't forget that. And because I can bring down infinitely many zeros, I can infinitely many times put 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract, you get 1, and you bring down another 0. We will do this dance until the end of time. Okay, this will go on forever, which is why we just stop and we say, okay, 0.3 repeating. So this is non-terminating because it never ends. It will go on forever, and there's a rational explanation for it. Okay, so in this case, this is what you have the repetition bar there, right? So it's a repeating decimal. Okay, there will be a little adding and subtracting on the test, but we want to focus on this right now. So terminating is rational or irrational. Terminating is always rational. Okay, so the only thing that you really need to understand in order to know the rest of these terms is that if a decimal, or if a number is non-terminating, okay, so it's non-terminating, it doesn't end, and non-repeating, okay, if it's non-terminating, non-repeating, then it is what we call irrational. Okay, all right, so a number is irrational when there's no real explanation for why it does what it does. A perfect example of this, okay, perfect example of this is a number that we worked with in first trimester, pi. Okay, pi goes on forever. It never ends, okay, but it never repeats, and that's what makes it irrational. So 3.1415926. I ran out of board, okay, but even if I didn't run out of board, it goes on forever and it never repeats. And mathematicians for centuries have been trying to figure out where pi ends or where pi repeats, and after thousands of digits, they still don't know. So that tells you it's an irrational number. Okay, so again, you have terminating, non-terminating, you have rational and irrational, and they all kind of work together. Okay, so a terminating number ends, and it's rational because we know why it ends. Okay, when we divide it out, even into the decimals, okay, we can find an ending to it, so it's rational. It makes sense. Okay, non-terminating means that it goes on forever. Okay, but there's 2 types of non-terminating. Okay, there's repeating and non-repeating. So if it's non-terminating but it repeats, well, that means we can explain that. Okay, and if we can explain it, then there's a rational explanation if that makes sense. So that's why it's a rational number. Okay. So in this case, 0.3 repeating is rational because it repeats, and we know why it repeats. So it's non-terminating, but it's still rational. Okay. But if you have a number that is non-terminating, so it doesn't stop and it doesn't repeat itself, then you have what's called an irrational number. But everything else is a rational number. Okay. So again, the example I gave you is pi. There's more examples you'll get the further you go into math, but this is all you really need to understand for now. Let me see. What is the difference between non-repeating and repeating? Well, you said it yourself. Non-repeating doesn't repeat, and repeating does. Confused about, let me see. I'm still confused. Okay. I need more room on my note card, and can we make more than one? Unfortunately, no. So at some point, I have to draw the line. If you had like infinitely as many note cards, basically, I just would just have an open note test. And you guys gotta understand too, the note card is not just to have during the test, but it makes you think before the test what you need to think about, if that makes sense. Like it helps you kind of compartmentalize information. It helps you prepare yourself for the task at hand. Okay, it kind of relieves that little bit of stress when you walk in, because you walk in knowing that you prepared something. Even if you use nothing on it, even if you never look at it, sometimes that's what happens is you make this note card, and because you made it, you now know the information, because to put on the note card, you had to understand it. To put on the note card, you had to know you were going to use it or possibly use it. So the note card itself is preparation for this test. Okay, I don't like the word study. I'm going to study, because that doesn't do anything. You know, if you just say I'm going to study, you know, that doesn't it's not specific. Okay, but there's ways to study. There's things that you can do to be prepared for a test, and we've talked about those. Being on the live stream right now, that's one great example. Doing a note card, keeping up with your Mathia, asking questions in class, asking questions on Google Classroom, asking questions here. These are all forms of studying. But just saying you're going to study, you know, we have to know that these are the terms that mean studying. These are the things we're doing to prepare. So, okay, let me see. Can we have one really big note card? Like a poster board, just the whole thing. Nope, it's got to be a 3x5. Sorry. What should we write on the note card? You should write anything on the note card you think will be helpful based on the information you've been learning. So that is what you should be doing. Okay. And I've talked about that. So I will, let me see. So we want to talk about page 57. Let me look at the test really quick, and we'll see how much time we need to spend on that. Okay, but let me see. Test. Let me see. Hold on one second. Did you guys miss me today, by the way? I missed you guys. Sorry I wasn't in today. I hate being away from my class. It bothers me. But sometimes life gets in the way. I had to do some stuff. I had to do some family stuff too. I don't know what size my note card is. I'm not going to measure them, okay? But if you come up with a poster board, I'm probably going to be a little suspicious. Again, Mr. Coffey, what do you want for a Christmas present? Oh, that's nice. You don't have to give me anything. Just be a good person, be a good student. I'll be happy with all that. Let me see. Oh, I take that back. There is a problem on your test that is like number 7 that we did with the reciprocals and canceling them out. So that's important to know. Never mind. I take that back. Let me see. Oh, we miss you too. Okay, hold on. Okay. So I'm just looking at the test really quick. I'm just looking at a couple things I want to make sure we go over in depth. And some of the stuff on 57, again, it's good practice with the order of operations, but we've already talked enough about that. I don't want to spend more time on that than we need to. Don't judge me. I bought that sign fair and square. It still matters. I'm still the #1 teacher, even if I bought it for myself. Don't judge me. I didn't buy it for myself. Actually, my wife bought it for me, but still. Okay, let me see. On page 56, there was a lot of just basic computation and just knowing what to do with the signs. So I'm going to do just a couple of those really quick. Okay, keep in mind terminating, non-terminating, and rational and irrational. That will help you on your test. And it's been up there long enough that we could write it down. Let me see. You bought the one. No, I did not. Mrs. Coffey did, but I did say I liked it when we were at the craft show. I'm kidding. Yeah, whatever. Okay. And do I see someone quoting Dr. Evil? $100 billion. Oh, it doesn't look good. Yeah, I like that. All right. Anyway, back to math. So, for example, okay, number 1 here on page 56 was 90 divided by -9. Now, negatives have this way of making us forget how to do basic math. because we're thinking way more about the negative sign than we are about the problem. So what I always recommend you do is don't look at the numbers first. Look at the signs first. A positive divided by a negative is always going to equal a negative. Okay, so now I don't have to worry about that anymore. So just whatever, get rid of this, get out of here. Okay, now I'm just doing 90 divided by 9, which I know that 9 times 10 is 90, so my answer is 10. And I've already got the negative sign there, so I don't have to think about it, which is nice. How long does this go for? Let me see. Message held for review. Uh-oh. Gibberish. We're hiding the message. Yep, I'll be on until about 8 o'clock. So anyway, like I said, don't let the negative stuff throw you off too much. Okay, just 90 divided by 9 is 10. Okay, just because there's a negative there doesn't make it that much harder. You just have to decide, is your answer negative or positive. So another example, number 2. Okay, a negative 30 divided by a negative 5. Okay, so I have a negative and a negative, so my answer is going to be positive. Okay, and I know that 5 times 6 equals 30. Okay, so again, negative divided by negative is positive. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Okay, so again, don't make these more complicated than they need to be. Okay, negative 10. Did I forget something? Yeah, the negative's right there. I got it there. Okay, another one. I'll jump to number 4. Okay, but again, I was kind of appalled by how many people did not know their multiplication facts. 4th grade, I said that every day. Practice your multiplication facts because you're going to be older and doing harder math, and you're not going to know your multiplication facts, and you're going to be sitting there doing the 9s trick, messing with your fingers, and people are going to look at you weird. And then I started teaching 7th grade, and people were looking at their fingers. So here we are. So again, you got to know these things, okay? So we know that 9 times 9 is 81, okay? And we know that positive divided by negative is negative, okay? So again, don't overcomplicate it. Rocket math hurt, but it should have done its job, okay? So anyway, so that's how these problems work, and these were all division. But multiplication works the same way. So, and we did a couple multiplication problems earlier. So I've got about 20 minutes. So what is it that you really want to go over before we end our stream? Because I'm here for you guys. Again, if you're on, you're spending your time just like I'm spending my time. So I want to make it worth the time you're putting in. So tell me what you'd like to go over more. What don't you understand? What questions do you have? So now it's open forum here. More answers, please. I figured. Back page. Well, what page number does it say specifically? And let's see. And fractions. Okay. We can do some more fraction stuff. I can do that. Okay. Story problem, back page. Back page, story problem. Number 10. Back page, back page, back page. Okay. Oh, is that the... Let me see. The simplify the expression part. Give me a problem to do, and I will happily do that. There's a lot of problem 10s. Which problem 10 are you referring to? If it's on the back of the first page, that's the one we don't want to. That one we crossed off. Back page, all of them. Okay. I 98.98% understand this, so I think I'm going to go. All right. Very cool. Thank you. And I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so all of them on the back page, we can do that. I'll go rapid fire. Okay, so I have a negative 3. I did promise answers, so I have to hold up my end of the bargain. Okay, but again, this goes back to order of operations and knowing when things cancel. Okay, so number 1 on the back page, okay, I have a negative 3 minus 4 times negative 2 plus 3. So check this out. I've got a minus 3 and a plus 3. Does anyone know what I can do with a minus 3 and a plus 3 in this problem before I do anything? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Yep, you can take them out because a negative 3 and a positive 3 equals 0. So that's the same as adding 0. So they go away. So now we have a negative 4. Don't forget, we have a negative 4. It said minus 4, and we just got rid of a minus 3 in front of it. The minus sign follows it. So you still have a negative 4, okay? Because we were going to subtract that 4. And we're timesing it by a negative 2, okay? So a negative 4 times a negative 2 is going to equal a positive 8, okay? They cancel. Good, I'm glad you see that, okay? Because if I have a negative 3 and a positive 3 in the same problem, and I'm subtracting 1, adding the other, if I take negative 3 and add 3, I get 0. So we can just take them out of the problem. Okay, so that's what happened on number 1. Okay, number 2, I'm going to erase that, so hopefully you got it written down. Okay, number 2. My number 2 associate. Number 2. Okay, number 2 is 2 divided by 3 divided by 8. Now I know that some of you decided that it would be more fun to do a decimal here. My question is why? Why make this a decimal? Why make it harder for yourself? When you learn how much easier fractions are, you're going to use them all the time. Okay, so in this case, a 2 divided by 3 is 2/3, right? I could do 0.6 repeating to the end of time, but that's kind of hard to work with. So I'm just going to keep it 2/3. Okay, and I'm dividing this by 8, right? But here's the deal. I'm really dividing. We're in fraction mode, so let's put everything in fraction mode. 8 over 1, we know that any whole number can be put over 1 to make it a fraction. Okay, so now I have 2/3 divided by 8 over 1. KFC, finger licking good. Okay, try a new grilled recipe. It's delicious. Anyway, KFC, you keep it, you flip it, and you change it. Okay, and oh look, I can cross cancel because I have a 2 up here, so I can divide the top and the bottom by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so now I've already reduced before I multiply. Okay, so 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 4 is 12. And I don't think I did anything wrong there, but it's always possible. Okay, so yep, I got 1/12, and everything was positive, so the answer is still positive. Okay, let me see what the and were. Well, I'll stick around for a bit longer and then go start my daily Prodigy grind. And I have to. Oh, I'm glad you said that because I have to fix Prodigy. If you guys ran out of problems, it's gonna start giving you really easy ones. So, thank you for reminding me to change that because I gotta do that. I'll do that. Nah, I'll do it later. You got like 15 minutes, so live it up if you already did those 50 problems I assigned it. That's not a word. Yeah, I knew some people were like, why? Why would you say that? Okay. So anyway, I need to do that afterwards. Okay. So number 3. Let's do number 3. Oh, I needed that. Why did I do that? That's annoying. Okay. Got it. Oh, jeez. Okay. Okay. My back hurts. Dude, it's all about egg rolls. It's the best stretch on the planet. Okay. Let me see. So number 4 was a 5 over -5. I hope you see the issue here. Okay. Done this guys. A video about 9 plus 10 equals 21. Okay. Anyway, so I see 5 divided by -5. Let's just do that right away. 5 divided by -5 is -1, guys. Okay, so now I have a -1 times a -4. Okay, 1 times 4 is 4. Negative times negative is positive. Okay, so again, don't make these any harder than they need to be. Okay. Oh, let me see. There's one more I want to go over. Okay, so let's look at number 7. This one is very important because there's one very similar on your test. So 5/12 times, this is at the bottom of that page, by the way, 5/12 times -8/9. And I said that this wasn't going to be on your test, but it is, and I double checked, so it's definitely worth understanding. A -12/5. Okay, so again, right off the bat, an alarm should be going off in your brain saying, whoa, these two look very similar. They look very familiar. So again, let's put them next to each other so we can see them a little clearer. Because again, in multiplication, you can rearrange things. I'm just going to make it a dot. That's easier for me. Okay, a -8 over 9 times, why did I do that? I just said move it around. Okay, and I'm actually going to get rid of the parentheses. It's just one less thing I have to worry about. Okay, but we'll keep the 8/9 over here. We're gonna quarantine it. We're gonna quarantine it off over there. That is a massive dot. Yeah, there you go. That's because I don't like the multiplication sign. There you go. Good. Okay. Do you post these streams so that we can watch? Yes. Yeah, they'll be up there again. So, what if you don't cross multiply? Well, let's just get this done first. Okay, so here's the thing. I have 5/12, but I have its reciprocal 12/5. Oh, hi, Mrs. Coffee. So again, these cancel. Okay, so I can cancel these out, but again, I still have a negative sign here, so I still have a -1, even though I canceled this out. Okay, so that's going to go away. That's going to go away. Okay, so now I have a -1. I'm going to bring this all down. This is a little messy. -1 times a -8/9. Okay, and I have a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and 1 times 8/9 is 8/9. So we're going to end up getting that as our answer. Well, thank you very much. I agree. Before I actually leave, will there be any word problems on the test? Yes, there will be one word problem. It will be similar. It'll involve, I can't really tell you what it'll involve, but it will be you'll be able to figure it out. It's, as long as you read carefully and read what it's asking you to do, you're going to be just fine on that. So, hey, Steph, they're all saying hi to you. Where you get the one. Which one? Oh, this one. Okay, good. All right, let's talk about it. So again, I rearranged the order here. Okay, so 5/12 times a -12/5. These are dots. There you go. So you're asking where that 1 came from. Okay, so the 1 comes from this. I'm gonna expand this even further. Okay, so 5/12 times -1 times 12/5 times -8/9. Okay, so what I did was I took the -12/5 and I pulled it apart, because really -1 times 12/5 equals -12/5. So that is where the -1 comes from. So when I cancel these out, that -1 is still here, and I still have to account for it. Okay, and again, this is understanding how negatives work. Okay, because a -12/5, I could separate the negative sign away from it by turning it into -1 times 12/5. One thing I think you guys aren't used to with math is that if you understand the properties and the rules of math, then you can kind of bend them to your will. Okay, so if you understand, like, it's like when you play a video game, if you know the rules of the game, you can learn how to break them. Okay, I'm not saying to mod or to cheat or to hack, but what I'm saying is you know what you can and cannot do within the realm of that game. And so math is very much the same way. If you know the rules, then you can manipulate the math to make things easier for yourself. Yes, you're all beautiful. Great. All right, moving on. So in this case, I can separate out the -1 to make things easier to work with. Okay, so now I can cancel these, and I leave the -1 because I still have to account for the negative sign. I can't just cancel these out and call it a day. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay. So any other questions on this before I move on? Because I've got maybe 9 more minutes left. I'm going to wrap up about 8 o'clock. So I can get on with my evening. Let me see. I was an Avon. I don't know what that is. An Avon Nova. I don't know what that is. But help me. All right. I'm willing to help you. You just got to tell me what you need. We are all this favorite. Yes, you're all my favorite. It's true. Okay, I feel that we should stop making weird comments. Yeah, I'm going to back you up on that, because as I'm reading them, I'm kind of like, what am I doing with my life? I wasn't here. What were you talking about? Don't worry about it. You didn't miss much. Okay, I just see a 6. So what does 6 mean? Number 6. On which page? On 57? Top part. Will there be homework on Friday? No. You enjoy your break. That's the point of break. Take a break. No homework. Okay. If you want to get a head start on Module 3 on the expressions and equations, you can do that, but it's not something I'm going to assign you until after break. So I want you guys to, my thing is, yeah, I love math. It's a good thing, but you can have too much of a good thing. I don't want to burn you guys out. I'm not going to give you a math packet over the break. However, stay sharp. You're welcome to hop on Prodigy, because that'll, I'll set that for expressions, and maybe we'll do more with that if you guys enjoy the tournament. And then Mathia, again, keep up with the Mathia so that when you come back, you're fresh, ready to go. Because again, it's like when you do a sport. Okay, if you do a sport, so I coach wrestling. Okay, and after Thursday, so we have a meet tomorrow, we have a practice Thursday, and then my wrestlers don't wrestle for 2 weeks. So they have the option to do nothing for 2 weeks, despite how hard they've conditioned. Okay, they can do nothing for 2 weeks, eat a bunch of food, get really lazy, not do a bunch of workouts, and then come back on Monday after break and feel like garbage. And then, 2 days later we have a meet, and then if they're feeling like garbage still and they're not in the shape they were when they left, they're going to feel it. Okay, so what I'm going to recommend that they do is that they jog, do something active, play something outside with some friends, just to keep in good shape, because otherwise they're going to come back and they're going to lose all that work they put in. So I'm telling you guys that because for your math, I'm not going to make you do anything over your break. I could, but again, I want you to do something because you want to do well at it, not because I made you do it. Okay, so yeah, you could take a 2-week break too. I'm fine with that. So, because sometimes you just need a break. So that you got to decide what you need as a mathematician. Do I need to practice a little every day to stay fresh? Do I need to practice once over the break? Do I need to just disengage for 2 weeks? Okay, these are the things that you have to decide for yourself. Because when you get to later in high school, to college, if you go into trade school, you go into the military, whatever you go into, those are decisions as an adult you're gonna have to make on your own. So you need to make those decisions as a middle schooler right now to get yourself to get yourself ready. So it looks like, let me see, page 57, number 6. So I'm going to go over number 6. That seems to be one that we want to go over. But so if you want to stick around for that, that's probably the last problem I'm going to do. And then I'll talk some philosophy with you. We have no practice Friday. No, by the way, for those of you wrestle. Okay, so number 6 on page 57. So as requested. So number 6 is page 57. Okay, and top of, let me see, it's the top. Okay, okay. So you have a -8 plus 4, and that's in parentheses, over a -9. Okay, now order of operations tells us that we have to do what's in the parentheses first. Okay, so we have to solve this first. Okay, so -8 plus 4 is -4. Okay, because I have a -8 and a +4. The -8 is further from 0 than the 4 is, so we're still negative. Divided by a -9. Okay, so a negative divided by a negative is going to equal a positive. So I can reduce this down to a 4/9. And if you left it like this on your test, I would count it correct. Okay. I prefer fractions over decimals. There's no need to be more precise than 4/9. So that's where I stand on that. 9 is in parentheses because it has a negative associated with it. I can use the parentheses. I can get rid of the parentheses. They're just telling me that there's a -9 here. Okay. But without the parentheses, it still says the same thing. So again, understanding the rules of math will help you be able to manipulate it and work with it, in the way that you see fit. Okay, and not planning leaving school early tomorrow, right, Mr. Cott? Correct. That's correct. So right at 3:15, we go right to the doors and we hop on the bus. So I'll do attendance on the bus. So make sure you have all your stuff. Headgear, shoes, singlet. That's it. Is a negative plus a positive a negative, and a negative minus a positive. It depends how big either one is. So in this case, a negative plus a positive ended up equaling a negative because the negative was further from 0 than the positive number was. Okay, but if I had a -8 plus a -4, this would end up being a +4. So there's really no good way to answer that question because it's all going to be situational. It all depends. Okay, so in this case, it was a -8, okay, and I had a +4. So therefore, I'm going to have a -4. Let me see. Can I get help tomorrow morning from you? Well, in the mornings, I'm not available until homeroom because I have meetings. The teachers have meetings that we go to. So unfortunately, I won't be available. But Mr. Quinn, or not Mr. Quinn, Mr. Quinn and Mr. Furlan are both math specialists. Okay, and they run that morning club. So they've been doing this stuff longer than I have. So a great place to go and get some help in the morning if you just want to get prepared for your test. So number 10. Okay, number 10. We can do that. I got time. There's still time. Okay. All right, so I've got a -4, and there's a lot going on in these parentheses. Okay, I've got an 8 minus a 2 times 2. Now, order of operations tells us that we have to do what's in the parentheses first. But even inside the parentheses, there's still an order we have to do things in. Okay, I still have to multiply before I can subtract. And this is where a lot of people get confused. Okay, so I have to multiply first because that's order of operations. Okay, so 8 minus 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, so I did that first. Okay, so now I'm going to do what I can in the parentheses again, which is 8 minus 4. Okay, so I have a -4. Okay, and I'm timesing this by 8 minus 4, which is 4. Okay, so I'm just reducing this down. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16, and a negative times a positive is a negative. So that's how I wind up getting the negative 16. Okay, so I answered number 10. I've got 2 minutes. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to ask? Now would be the time to do so. I feel like I'm on Survivor. If you have a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. I'll go tally the votes. Let me see. 12. Okay, 12. Okay, 12 is the same situation. Let me see. 12. Okay, so 12 is a negative 5 times 2 plus 8 divided by 2. Now again, order of operations. We have to do what's in the parentheses, and we have to do division before we add. Okay, so I'm going to bring everything down I'm not doing first. Okay, so I'm going to keep the 2 plus, but 8 divided by 2 ends up being 4. Okay, so now this is what I'm left with. Okay, so now I'm going to do 2 plus 4, which is 6. Okay, so I can reduce that down. And now I have a negative 5 on the outside of the parentheses. Okay, so 5 times 6 is 30. Negative times positive is negative. So that's your answer for number 12 is going to be 30. Okay. Literally have 3 pages of notes, but still confused. I've been there. I really have. Can you do more stuff with decimals? Give me a motivational speech. I can do that. Everyone spam it. What are we spamming? Everyone spam what? Story? I'm not telling a story right now. It's not class time. So, all right. I will do a little more work with decimals. I know it's past 8 o'clock, but the people have spoken, and therefore, I will be a nice guy about it. So let me see. Let's do number 6 on the bottom of 57. That's got a lot of decimals and a lot of different operations. So, and it's got negatives and positives, so I'm happy to do that. Okay. So check it out. This is a really complicated problem. So this is probably gonna be the last one I'm gonna do. I'm starting to get tired, and it's 8 o'clock. So I got negative 14. Okay. So let's see if that's correct. Please, 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 what? Please, what? What are we pleasing? Let's see. When we're done with the test, can we do the starting contest, or can we do it on Friday? When we're done with the test, can we do the start? I don't know what the starting contest is. Let me see. Yeah, I know, but I got stuff I got to do. But anyway, all right, let's do this problem. So enough about that. Okay, so I got a negative 4.2. I've got an 8.6. I'm adding this to a negative 4.2 times 8. Is it a negative 4.6? It is. Okay. So again, order of operations. We have to start with multiplication. We can't just start adding stuff. We have to multiply first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these 2 things. You can multiply. What's cool is you can multiply in the same step, though. So I can multiply this, put it here, multiply this, put it here in the same step. Okay. I will give you a motivational speech after this problem. All right. Deal. How many questions will have decimals? Let's count. Let me look. Which mouse is... I have 2 computers and 3 monitors right now, so I'm not sure which mouse is which. There will be problems with decimals. 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 problems with decimals, people. What are you freaking out about? Okay. Yes, all right. I will give you a motivational speech. It'll happen. All right. Anyway, so I'm gonna multiply. Okay. I'm just gonna take the digits right now. Okay, I'm just taking the digits. Okay, so 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 4 times 6 is 24. Plus 1 is 25. Okay, bump everything over to the tens place. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. Again. 4 times 8 is 32. Plus 1 is 33. Okay, I'm going to add these together. 2. Is that a 5? What did I write here? Yeah, 25. Okay, that was 7. Okay, 5 plus 6 is 11. Carry the 1. 6, 3. Okay, so let's put the negatives and the decimals in. There's a decimal, and there's 1 negative. A negative times a positive is a negative. I have 1, 2 digits behind the decimal. So I'm going to put 1, 2 digits behind the decimal. And 4 times 8 is 32, so my answer should be around 32. So, and it is, it's 36. So, and it should be more than 32 because I've got extra here. So 4 times 8 is 32, should be about 32, so we're in the ballpark. Because if I put my decimal here, it wouldn't be 361, right? So we got to make sure we're putting our decimal in the right spot. Does it matter if you do multiplication or division first? No, it does not. It does not matter which one, which is nice. So I've been trying to watch all the Marvel movies before break ends. Me too. And I've watched that trailer for for Endgame like, I don't know, like 40 times now. So and then questions total. How many questions? Let's see, there are 8 questions, but there's a couple with multiple parts. So around like 20. Let me finish this problem. How do you know where to put the decimal? That's because I had 2 digits that I was multiplying that were behind the decimal. So I put 2 digits here behind the decimal. It's just a little trick I learned. I forget exactly what the mathematical reason is, but if it's something we want to go over, I can go into a little more detail. Anyway, so now I have this answer. I have a negative 36.12, and I'm adding that to whatever the product here is going to be. So another 4.2 times 4.6, though. Okay, again, I didn't put, what's that plus sign? Again, I didn't put any, I'm not putting any symbols in yet. Okay, I do that at the end so that I don't get myself confused. Okay, there we go. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Okay, I'll make sure I write it clear this time. I'll put my 0 here to bump everything over because now I'm multiplying by the tens place. So 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, and now I'm going to add everything together. Okay, carry the 1. 13, and carry the 1. Okay, so now let's see. I have 4.6 and 4.2. Okay, and I have a negative and a negative. Okay, so a negative times a negative is a positive, so I'm going to leave it be positive. Okay, and I have 1, 2 digits behind decimal places. So I have 1, 2 digits behind the decimal place here. And let's make sure our answer makes sense. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so my answer should be around 16. Okay, so looking at the 23, that sounds about right. Okay, so because again, if I put the decimal here, 4 times 4 equals 16. So my answer again has to be around 16, but being around 233 doesn't make any sense. So it makes sense. I got 2 decimal places here, put it there. Okay, 2, 6. But yes, it is. Who got number 9? I don't know what we're talking about. I must have missed something. Can you retake the test? Not exactly, but again, you could do corrections. So, but again, that's why you're studying now. That's why you're on the live stream now, getting your questions answered. So you go in doing the best you can. Okay, and as you get older, okay, test corrections and a note card is something that's a bit of a luxury right now, but it is a luxury that later on you will not have. Okay, but they are still things that you should do to make yourself a better student as you get older when there's no one telling you to do those things. Because if no one is telling you to do those things, the kids that are going to lap you, and they're the ones that are going to get those dream jobs you all want because they're the ones working hard. So you got to make sure you're the one that's doing the best you can do. Make sure you're working hard and doing these things to prepare yourself. So I'm trying to get you in those habits. Okay, I'm trying to get you in the habit of, I haven't added them together yet. Trying to get you guys in the habit of doing things the right way. So that it becomes natural when you're not told to do a note card, you do a note card anyway because it helps you. So anyway, let me finish the problem up. Okay, so I have 23.32. Okay, so now we got to add these together, but I have a negative. Okay, so we know that you can do 36.12 minus 23.32. But our answer would be negative. So remember, if the bigger number is negative and you're combining these terms, because this is the same as saying 23.32 minus 36.12. Okay, but you can flip them as long as you make your answer negative. Okay, so 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 3 can't do. 11 minus 3 I can. Okay, decimal minus decimal. Let's see. Okay, so I make that a 5. 2. So it looks like it's about 12.8. And again, I'm getting kind of tired, so I might be making an error. I'm looking at it from the side. So if I've made any errors, let me know. It's always possible. This was a big, lengthy problem, and you won't have one like it on your test. Don't be mad. Let me see. I got 19. Okay, for my second. Okay. You might be. Oh, you know what? Let me just double check this really quick because maybe I added incorrectly. I multiplied like. Okay, I see what I did. 2 plus 0 is 2. What am I doing? Oh my gosh. See, this is what happens when I get tired. Okay. 2 plus 0 is 2. 5 plus 8 is 13. 2 plus 6 plus 1 is 9. You're right. You were correct. Okay. Yep. And that, again, that makes more sense. Yep. You're right. Oh, I see what you're saying, Amelia. Hey, I told you, I've been down here for an hour, man. I'm tired. All right, let's do this problem correctly this time. There we go. Let's put that 19 back up there. Oh my gosh. See, even math teachers make mistakes. It happens. Okay, again, I can do 36. I can do the bigger one minus the smaller one as long as I make my answer negative. Okay? Let's try this again. 2 minus 2, 0. 11 minus 3 is 8. 5, can't do it. 15 minus 9 is 6. 2, okay. So 16.8. Does that look a little better? All right, don't let your phone die. All right, so we are 9 minutes over. That's how much I like you guys. Okay, you're worth my time. So I'm going to wrap up. And again, I'm starting to get tired, so I don't know that my math is actually going to be any of quality anyway. So this live stream will be up here if you want to watch it again. You want to pause anything, ask me any questions tomorrow. Thank you. I'm happy to do it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like what I do. So, this is my job for a reason. It's the career I chose because I love what I do, and I want to see you guys be successful. So I'm going to offer, this is the big thing here's my motivational speech. We teachers want to see you be successful. Okay. None of us are against you. We all want to see you do well. Your parents want to see you do well. It may not feel like that all the time. And you may feel like we're kind of, coming down on you and getting upset with you about, not even really getting upset, but just like, hey, like you need to do this. We expect from you because we know what a tough world it is. And we know that if you want to be the things you want to be, then you have to do the things you need to do to make you exceptional. Okay. Because I hate to say this, but there's 100 million people out there just like you, and you have to stand out. And the way you stand out, the only way that you can control how you stand out is hard work. Okay. So if you put in the work and you you hold yourself to a higher standard and you do more work than other people, it's going to show. And when it doesn't show, you have to have patience. Okay. Because I know that some of you feel like you're really bad at math, and that's not the case. Okay. It's not that you're bad at math. You're just maybe not as good as you want to be at it yet. So you need to apply yourself. Okay. You can't just expect it to happen by doing nothing. Okay. I can't run a marathon. I really can't. I can't run a marathon. And if I was going to run a marathon, or if that was something I wanted to do, then I need to get myself in shape. I can't just sit here on the couch for 6 months and say, I'm going to run in that marathon. I'm going to pass out. Okay. I've got to put the work in. I've got to try. I've got to go and run. I've got to train. Okay. So it's the same thing for you. If you want to be able to do the things you want to do, you've got to put the work in. So this being here tonight is how you put the work in. And you guys did that tonight, especially those of you who stayed, for a majority, if not all of the time. It's not, you took an hour out of your day. You didn't have to do that, but you did. And it's going to, and I promise you it will pay off. Okay. So I am, that's my motivational speech for the day. So, yes, all hail. So you should make a daily show. I tried to do that. I had a midnight coffee hour that I was running, but, I didn't get any viewers. So I gotta work on my pitch. I gotta work on my stream. I gotta advertise. So, oh man. All right. Let me see. Joel's father said that he sang a song. Is he used? Oh, that's nice. Yep. Oh, well, thank you. That's really nice of you to say. Well, yeah. I've noticed. I've seen my Twitch stream kind of blow up. So, all right. I'm out of here. So, if you guys have any questions, see me tomorrow in class. Make sure you have your note card when you walk in, ready to go. Go to the Great Start Morning Club with Mr. Quinn and Mr. Furlan. They'll help you out with any questions you have. Bring that review with you because you need to turn that in tomorrow. Can you do one more before the test tomorrow? One more what? That all depends. Oh, okay. All right. Well, you guys have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. And like I said, next time I do this, I'm going to try to have it so that you can see my computer screen so I can actually, instead of writing on the whiteboard, I can write on the screen. So can I get paid for watching this? I'll work on that. So, all right, guys. Good night. Thank you.